Hello.
Miss Tina, you ready to talk some Delphi?
Sure. Are you?
Hey, well, I don't know. We're about to find out, aren't we?
Sure. Let's go.
Hey, I can tell you one thing. You know, you visited the channel a couple of times, so we started talking about it. Of course, there are some of us out there that are just, live and breathe this.
Yes.
And I think that we'll be breathing a whole lot better whenever we get some kind of resolution. But,
absolutely,
man, we have been just touching on, oh Lord, a whole 2 or 3, 4 handfuls of the multiple theories that are out there. And, it's always changing. And you and I have talked about it before. Our POIs are always changing. We're all, you see something else, and it's kind of like we're all got ADHD. It's like squirrel.
Yes.
So where's your brain at today with it? What is your thinking going on today? I'm not trying to say this is the ultimate truth. This is what Tina believes. But where are you at with it today?
Well, honestly, I was on a voice panel today, and there was a retired LE officer, not from Indiana, and he's kind of pointed me with a new POI, not necessarily new POI, new theory, that maybe Kagan was catfished himself. Like someone, as you put it, catfished the catfish. He, seems to think that there could be 2 to 5 people involved in this. Now, with that being said, not in the actual murders, but, in the planning, the setting up, who's going to be here, who's going to be there, and that it's tied to the CP. I don't know what we're allowed to say here, so I'll use CP. That there's a CP ring. Yeah.
C-S-A-M, read that.
Okay. Yeah. No. And so, I listen because I'm open. I have no idea. I can have my POI, but then I can hear something else like everyone else, but I have to say, it was really interesting. We had a good discussion, before I got out of that group, but so I think I would have to say I am leaning towards being open. Let's just say that. Being open that it does have something to do with the Anthony shots. Anthony shots per se, maybe not Kagan, because the thing that stuck out to me when we were talking was, Kagan would say, they keep saying, I was the last one to talk to her. I was the last one. And he would say that he wasn't. Now, we know that he lies. He's been a proven liar, but maybe that was some of the truth. Maybe, yes, he did have the Anthony shots, but maybe someone catfished him and they had all the info. So it did look like Libby talked to him last. Make sense?
Well, it does, because, one of the things that you and I had talked about, pre-show was that maybe we're all just giving, Kagan way too much credit for being a criminal mastermind. He just may be dumb as a box of rocks, well, I didn't know I was talking to her, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it's very plausible.
What would that look like, though? What would it look like for him to be catfish? How would you, in your brain, how would that work? How is it tied in a Dropbox, or is it what would it look like?
That would be what I would think is someone he was sharing Dropbox files with, or let's say a friend or a relative, he gave passwords to. Maybe they got on it that way. And I'm not insinuating, his dad, TK, or nothing like that. But there are other, he had a neighbor next door that was a friend. I think he had a cousin next door. He had family everywhere. Friends, supposedly. We don't know that. So my answer would have to be that someone got his information either by him giving passwords or off of the Dropbox share. And they just took it over without him knowing that they were actually talking to the girls.
I mean, if he is how our new theory of him may be, I mean, he may have used the exact same password on those accounts as he did on the Dropbox.
Absolutely.
You know, who knows?
Absolutely.
And so then they log on there and they're having conversations with these girls, in particular Libby, and arrange something. But now then, you know, you have that whole marathon search. I don't know where that would come in unless it's tied into somebody else that could be, you know, I don't know. This thing is so intertwined. It just drives you crazy. I could argue both sides on everything on that. So,
I know. That's what I always say. You know, we need to either, you know, prove this guy is BG or disprove. And whenever we get a POI, it seems like we can do both. We can't be solid, yes, he did it, or no, he's not it.
I think that's kind of the smart way of doing it. There's got because there's a way it happened. We don't know what that is just yet, but there's probably a realm of things that are feasible. And this you know, Kagan being catfish or the catfisher being catfish definitely seems like that's the word law enforcement is looking at it right now. You know, just if you were to listen to what the murder sheet, and they're asking for tips for under the name of Libby and Abby's account for this Anthony Shots thing.
I know. You know, they say this, you know, has exposed the largest CP ring in Indiana. I mean, I'm just waiting for the names that come out of it. And I'm talking, you know, it could be political people who protect your city. It could be, you know, just names like that. That's just feeling I get, that they're not necessarily, how do I say this? I guess I'll just say it. I think they're protecting people caught up in it, maybe.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. You know, if you listen to those major pressers, Doug Carter has said, you know, that he's. What are they going to think? And you know, whenever he even suggested that we may be surprised, or maybe one of them did, that we'd be surprised at how this unfolds. And,
yeah, because
you know,
we're going to be shocked by by, you know, the crime itself or by the people involved. You know, and that doesn't necessarily mean, you know, that it's someone well known. It could be, or it could be by that we're going to be shocked that it's due to a CP ring. You know.
Well, and you know, we've talked about this too. Is that it's like I had no idea that kind of stuff was so big, so huge. You know, you've been hearing rumblings about it with, you know, on a cultural basis, you know, Pizzagate or whatever it is, all this stuff over the last few years. And then, you know, you start hearing law enforcement talk about it. And of course, if this is, even if it's tangentially related to this case, it's good to see that they're taking those things down, regardless. But now, see, a lot of people are still, you know, the murder sheet thing. Those folks are really digging in on TK, but which is also another Catfish and Kagan thing, possibly anyway, too.
Yes, I agree. I could see it, you know. But
he says that he's giving DNA and they've not arrested him yet. So I don't know.
Yes, I know. The whole DNA thing, you know, in itself, you know, and like I said, they've not came out and said we have the right amount of DNA. I think I heard one of them one time mention they do have DNA. You know, rumors out there that it was from underneath Libby's nails. We don't know that. No. If you read the Ron Logan affidavit, it looks like they were looking for some sort of sharp weapon, which would lead you to believe that there was a lot of blood. So is the blood so mixed, his DNA mixed with their blood so well that, you know, there's not enough markers, as is the word I think they use. I mean, there's just so little information out there, so all we can do is come up with these crazy theories all the time, and maybe one will be right. Who knows? But it's just so hard speculating. And with that being said, I totally get why they don't put out, because they're going to nail this guy. I think it'll be a death penalty case, and that's just my opinion. I think it should be.
Well, you mentioned Ron Logan, and he's already dead. So I just, there's some YouTubers right now, man. They're banging on the pots and pans saying it was Ron Logan is the one who did it, and I don't. Of course, you and I have always also talked about this guy going across the bridge on that little video that we have, that 1.8 seconds, I believe that the railroader guy calls it, which is another theory.
Yes, absolutely.
And we got much more here to talk about too. But I mean, the Ron Logan thing, and you mentioned it earlier that, well, of course they're going to eventually check his property because of the fact that the girls were apparently found on his property. Mm-hmm. And what were they looking for at his house? You remember what that thing said they were looking for? They were looking for a whole list of things.
Yeah, I mean, they had something like digital, stuff they were looking for. So to me, that makes it seem like, cameras, pictures, stuff like that. And I heard another content creator saying, with his training that led him to believe were their tripod marks. Was that the digital they were looking for and stuff. But, and then, of course, you go back to, they also were looking for something sharp. Then they found out about his alibi, broke his alibi. So, of course, they're going to look there first. I mean, that's just obvious. That's where they were found. The guy didn't do it. That's just my opinion. But like you and I discussed earlier, if they found a shred of anything, he would have died in prison.
Yeah. Not giving interviews to those girls from Fort Wayne. Yeah. And he was like, I don't know why they wasted all this time looking at some old man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
I mean, we go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. No, I was just going to say, it goes back to, the obvious. They did waste time. They shouldn't have wasted so much time. I mean, they didn't find what they were looking for, so they should have moved on. But I think the FBI just had it in their head, that was him. But he didn't do it. I mean, he didn't.
Well, I've listened to a lot of these ex-law enforcement guys, and you were just talking to one earlier today. And, everybody that I know that works in law enforcement will tell you they'll have teams, and they have different leads, and they have different teams that are chasing down different leads. So, yeah, FBI may have been chasing him down. ISP's had this group. I'm sure Delphi had people. I mean, look at all these theories that we've known about. We've heard these. They've requested DNA from the guy that got killed in a shootout with the police. Was it Edders and then there was the Daniel Nations, and then there was there's the Chadwell, and then there's Kurtz, who that's an interesting course there too, huh?
Yeah,
he was.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's been on Ron Logan's property. Speaking of Ron Logan, right? I mean, he rode horses there and knew the place well.
And, he is in prison for murder.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be out of his realm of things he can do.
No, he's probably committed other murders too. Mm-hmm. So that's a serial killer. And that, to me, I mean, the serial killer route, from the day one that we started this podcast, I mean, to me, in my mind, I saw that there had been a huge snowstorm a week or so before this. And in my mind, there are people that travel across highways, and there's 2 or 3 right there. There's Hoosier, and you mentioned 80, which goes up to anywhere else you want to go, up north and south. And 69, I believe, was over there somewhere. But I mean, you know, there are people that just move up and down. And in my mind, the first time I ever looked at this case, I saw someone that was going down the highway, either driving a car, or they're traveling by bicycle or a motorcycle, and they stop and they pit stop, and they may stay there a couple of days due to the ice storm, or they may just stop by there to pee or smoke or whatever. And something happened. And then
well, it was opportune time. If they stopped and they saw, because that was a warm day, because I live here in Indiana, and it was a warm day that day. So when you're in Indiana and you have winters that are really cold, and then in January, February, you get a 50-degree day, you'll see people in shorts. So it's like he drove by, maybe like you said, he stopped to go to the bathroom. Maybe he stopped to get something to eat and saw all these people, you know, a lot of them were kids, you know, at this trail. And that was perfect for him if, you know, we go the serial killer route.
Well, there's that bridge, that, what's the thing? It's called Freedom Bridge that goes right over the highway, and there's a parking lot there. And I mean, come on. I mean, that's not a big stretch to think about that. I mean, because it's, you know, of course, I think at the very beginning, that's what they were saying. They were looking for a hitchhiker, weren't they? I don't know. I mean, it seems like at the very beginning.
There was a witness that said she had seen or had stopped. A man had his vehicle over to the side in a grassy area with his flashers on, and you know, she gave his description and everything to the police, and supposedly he checked out. He was a convicted child molester. It checked out that he was there, but he wasn't in Delphi, because I guess he wasn't, when she saw him, he wasn't necessarily right there in Delphi, because they were asking if anyone saw him in like Logansport and Lafayette too. But supposedly that all checked out, and he had lied about being at work. He wasn't at work, and he didn't want his dad to know because he worked for his dad. So, I mean...
I remember that. Was that the white truck or no?
I don't remember. It could have been. I just know she said it was a work truck, because his logo on his hat was the logo on the truck, maybe. I can't remember.
I do remember that. I do remember that one.
Yeah.
And that may not even be all of them that were there. I mean, there's no tell. I know that if you just go to a gas station and you sit there for an hour, you know, or any park or anything like that, there's going to be I mean, you can miss people, and it's just unbelievable how many people in a course of an hour can go across somewhere. It is just unbelievable. So I can't even imagine law enforcement's job on this thing, for sure.
Oh, no. You know, and, you know, people say, you know, they doubt Ellie, you know, is working on this and everything. I don't think that's true. I think they are. I think, like you just said, they had a ton of stuff and still have a ton of stuff that they're going through, you know. And if we go back to Carter, you know, that one piece, what is that one piece? Is that, to me, just my opinion, I think it's an alibi. I think it's an alibi. And that's just me. But you need someone to admit that they lied for someone, maybe.
Well, yeah, and we already knew that it happened with Ron. And I tell you this, too. You know, you there's so many, you know, let's get a little bit deeper with it. You know, let's look at some more, like, you know, one of the things that we've talked about is the whole Evansdale thing, which is 5 years before this. There was that, and I mean, it happened on the 13th. You know, that could be like a truck driving schedule. You know, it could be you know, people that like numbers. I played with that on another video the other day, just for fun. But it's just so weird that things line up like that. I mean, it could be some kind of a weird truck driving schedule that put people in those same places. But there's more to it with that, isn't it? I mean, there's little girls. What else was with that whole Evansdale tie-in? I'm not trying to get you to say that's what this is, but what other kind of tie-ins you see with that particular circumstance?
Well, the packers. There were packer plants in both of those cities. So again, that could be a truck driver, and all he'd have to do is hop on Interstate 80, and it's a straight shot from Evansdale to Delphi. I mean, straight. I think it's like 6 hours. Both cases were two young girls by themselves on trails in wooden areas, and both broad daylight. You know, so
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
We could do this all day, you know, with the serial killer thing, because there are so many similarities. And I do know that Ellie and Evansdale even called Delphi, and Delphi didn't think they were related. But then, you know, you watch the interviews with Ives, he was prosecutor then, and he says serial killer in his interviews.
Yeah.
You know, so who knows? Who knows? I mean, we could talk ourselves into it, and we could talk ourselves out of it. It's just like with any other theory.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to mention the name, but I know that, you know, there's one thing that we talked about, that there was at least one person that was living in Delphi that also lived in Evansdale at the same time. And
yeah, he worked at both Packers plants, and he was also on the search team. And he was at the 2019 press conference. So could it just be coincidence?
Well, you know, Ron Logan put him there fighting the girls too, if it's the same person I'm thinking about. So there you go.
And he was the one who asked Ron Logan, could he search the property that night, his property. So he searched Ron Logan's property. How were the girls not found if he searched that property, you know? I
can't understand how come those girls weren't found that night in the first place. Can you?
Yes. No. And I think you should give a shout out to Unresolved because that's how, I mean, we've both listened to his podcast and his channel, and he's really good. He digs. I mean, he digs. I was on, you know, that panel with him today, and that's how I learned a lot, but I don't know. I'm trying to figure.
He encourages conversation. I mean, he really does. I mean, from what I've seen of him, and I've spent, you know, a couple of hours with him, and just, you know, he's like, well, you know, let's just look at it. You know, let's just peel it back a little bit and look at it. And he's been involved in it for 15 years, just looking at things, you know, kind of on a non-professional level. But now, and he provides some great insight. In fact, there was another POI he mentioned that was a landowner in that area, and that's really what piqued my interest with this guy. Because, I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. People out in the woods, they have various reasons to be out in the woods that day and own property there. And I can understand. I get it. There's a lot. It's kind of like the dude said in The Big Lebowski. It's a lot of strands, man. There's a lot. You know, there's just a lot of stuff going on for sure.
Yes, there is. I mean, and like you said, you know, that's what I like about his channels. He's open to discuss, where some of these channels are just set on one person, and you're not going to change their mind, or they're not going to look at your POI or POIs. And just like you and I, you know, we haven't settled on one. No. But
and in fact, the two people that I enjoy listening to here recently in the past couple of weeks or so has been the Unresolved Crime. Is that the whole 4-day?
Yes.
Is that it? And then of course Sleuth. I love Sleuth.
Yes.
Sleuth is.
Yes.
I would love to hear Sleuth cover. I would like to see how he frames it whenever it's done. But Unresolved, like I said, he is very passionate. I've never seen anybody go on live for 6 hours and just sit through. I mean, the other day you guys were going through and just doing searches and looking at criminal backgrounds and stuff of people that were involved. That's interesting.
Yes.
That's somebody that has passion for it, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think we all are, to that point. It's passion. You just want justice for these girls, and then you've got a couple crazies out there, who are doing it for the wrong reasons. But I think the majority of, content creators on YouTube for Delphi are, trying to help Ellie, whether Ellie thinks that or not,
Yeah. Well, some people make it all about themselves, and they want to be the rock star. And, of course, the whole point of this is just to get out, to say, just like we're doing, there is no answer right now. We don't know of an answer. We don't have that kind of information. But it's intriguing to look at, though, whenever you're talking about a case like this, the complexity of what Ellie's job is. Of course, I hope right now they know who it is, and they're just waiting for that alibi break. I hope that it's something like that, and maybe they already. I don't know. I have no idea. But then again, I go. What scares me the most is that they have no clue.
Let's hope it's not that. I mean, because this could go. We could be having another conversation 10 years down the road about another new PLI. Well,
there are cases that are 30 years old that are not solved.
Yes, I know, but there's just so much technology new every day. So maybe they'll come up with that one machine that can pick out the tiniest, smallest marker in a DNA sample. No, I don't. It's just sad. Yep. It really is. It's just really, really sad that, Libby, she more than did her part with, the video.
Yeah.
And we haven't, not we, but Ellie has not solved this.
Well, it's we. I believe it is, because this, to me, is that we've got to keep pressure. I'm not saying pressure, but keep it on Ellie. This is important. This case is important to thousands of people. You can just go to your YouTube and type in Delphi murders and just look at the past hour, and you're going to find new, fresh content. I mean, this is very important to people like me and you, who spend a lot of time going, please solve this. We're putting out energy in the world. Please solve this case. This dude that would do that to little girls, broad daylight, wherever, it's just crazy. That this person should not be out walking free right now, in my mind. There you go.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I think you sent me a link to one of your first, or maybe a little while back, videos or podcast about the devil on the bridge. I mean, that's absolutely what he is. He is just a pure devil.
And of course, I know we're getting close, for our first show, but there's a lot of fringe stuff with this, and I don't know how much to believe in it, but there's so much tangential. I don't know how to say that word right now for some reason, but on the outskirts of this, there's all of this weird stuff that is coincidental. That's the word I was looking for.
Yes.
That, like with the town, and I hate hating on the town, because I don't. I mean, I know that that town is just like the town I'm from. These are peaceful people that want to live out their days and, raise their children and stuff. But there's a lot of that, going back to this whole catfishing, the catfish, CSAM, CP stuff. I mean, that this is speaking of unresolved as well. I just have a hard time believing that so many people connected to power in that area have ties to that stuff. To me, that's kind of weird. I don't really hear about that being often. Like maybe some people kin to whatever kind of elected politician or kin to another elected politician. I think there's 2 or 3 of them that are related to people that have charges and convictions and that kind of stuff. It does leave room for people on the outside to go, well, I mean, come on, explain it. It's kind of weird that you have that kind of connection. Are you covering up for somebody? I mean, is that?
Yeah.
Is even?
Yeah, I mean, I'm from a very, very small. Yeah, I'm from a small town, and I mean, we knew the town cop. All we had was a town cop, and he was friends with my parents, and I grew up on a farm, and so I learned how to drive very, very early. Well, I was really good friends with the town cop's daughter, and my dad would send me to the store to get him a pack of cigarettes and drive. When I was 12 years old, I would drive about 12 miles into town with no driver's license, nothing. And, he stopped me one day. He pulled me over, and him and my dad worked out a deal that, he didn't turn him in or, that I was driving. And that's, that's little in comparison to this. But, I said all that just to say that corruption in small towns, it's rampant. But corruption as far as sharing and knowing who in your family and in the town, looks at CP is just sickening. It's hard to fathom. That, hey, I know that sheriff over here does this, so it's awful no matter how you look at it.
Well, it's a level of corruption. If you know someone did something wrong, whether it's murder people or deal with, children in a way like that. But, and you would think that it would never happen, but, if I don't know. I know it's in the realm of feasibility. Like you said, I remember hearing politicians talk forever. It's about like if you want something, you go back to the people who've already given you something because they have a tie-in to it. There's some kind of a cognitive dissonance there that you want to protect, you want to give to people that you've already given to. So
They call it the good old buddy. They call it the good old buddy system here.
Old boys system. That's we have too.
Yeah.
And of course, you help out your friends. Yeah. But
I mean, and I think the corruption is so bad because it is such a small town there. It may be more than one person knows, but for whatever reason, they're not speaking up because of probably repercussions or they're involved in something, that could expose them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think's going to happen with the sheriff down there? Is that going to be a new sheriff or is it going to be the same regime that goes in? I don't know about the politics there for sure.
I haven't really, followed that. It's going to be a new sheriff, it looks like. It won't be Tobe. Is there limits on that? I think
so.
Yes.
I think that they get termed out.
Yeah, it's not Tobe. I do know that Ken Maines, he does Unsolved No More podcast. I am pretty positive he's a retired agent. Maybe FBI. I know he went undercover for years. But have you watched any of his stuff? It's really good. He does. Okay, yeah, he does. To Delphi. He just had a really good take on it. That he thought it was just someone was going to kidnap these girls and it went wrong, so he had to take care of it. But he also says in one of his shows that he did that one of the guys, and I couldn't tell you which one that was running for sheriff, had reached out to him and asked him if he's elected sheriff, would he look into the case? And Ken Maines had told him yes. Well, then Ken Maines showed an email that the guy running said he didn't make it in, so he wouldn't be able to let him look into the case. I mean, somebody there was willing to ask this man, to come in and help from the outside, but that's not going to be possible. So who knows if it'll ever be solved?
Well, I hope it is.
I do too.
I'm hoping that by 2023, that's my prediction. Hey, I got a couple of predictions as well. I don't know if we ended off like this, but I'm going to say that I think the person was born around 1980, within 5 years of that. So that put them around 40 or so right now.
Yes.
And about in their mid-20s, mid-30s back then, maybe early 30s. I believe, I don't know that, I don't think they have to be local, but I wouldn't doubt it. And
Well,
I
local
think drugs
doesn't
are
have to
involved.
necessarily mean right there, right?
That's right. That's right.
Just familiar with that area.
Oh,
I think you're the one who told me that.
well, that's right. I mean, he just riding through. I mean, I don't, I just don't think that. But I know that there's drugs involved. I know the person had to be high because I can't imagine anybody doing that that's not on drugs.
Yeah.
And it just, to me, I think they're younger. But that's mine. What do you say?
I too, I lean towards early 30s, 40s. I don't think it's no 50-year-old man. I could be wrong, but I'm going to just say 30 to 40. 45. We'll do 45.
There you go. Well, he got his hands in his pockets. That there's something to me. Whenever I see something like that, that is something they do all the time. That is not that's a nervous reaction. What people do in a tight spot. And I'm going to tell you, folks, Ron Logan didn't keep his hands in his pockets.
I agree with you.
Tina, I'm going to jump off. Thank you so much for your time today. Maybe we can do it again soon.
All right. Talk to you later.
Yes, ma'am. Goodbye.
All right. Bye.